Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Worldwide Weather Watch, March 4th edition, taking a look at the visible satellite imagery here, North and South America. You can see the sun starting to set across the Atlantic Ocean. Very strong mid-latitude cyclone here across the lower 48 United States. We've got some winter weather going on the north side of that low, some severe weather out in front of this low as well, and some strong winds, some fire danger out there. We'll take a look at that in some detail. We'll take a look at some fun stuff across the planet as we go through the day today as well. You can see the sun starting to rise across portions of the Pacific Ocean. That is now moving across New Zealand, and we got this tropical cyclone bringing some big impacts to portions of Australia as well. We'll take a look at some other things here across the planet also. Now, here is Tropical Cyclone Alfred, and this is going to be bringing some strong winds here to the coastal areas. And the problem with this storm is that it's going to be slowing down and bring some prolonged winds to the coastal areas and some very heavy rainfall with it. And if I put that into motion, you'll see this rainfall that's going to come towards the coastline there. And watch as we go. This now we're going in through Wednesday. We start to go on in through Thursday there, and look at just this heavy rainfall continues for some of these areas, just pegging the scale. Some areas are going to be getting up, over 15 inches of rainfall likely, and then this thing kind of kicks out, becomes extra tropical, and rejoins the westerlies and pushes out of the region, but not before dumping huge amounts of rain. Some very strong winds there, and if I put this into motion, you can kind of see the strong winds along the immediate coastline there, and then it moves off as an extra tropical cyclone back into the westerlies. And just a reminder, across the southern hemisphere, they are heading into their meteorological fall. Here in the northern hemisphere, we are going into meteorological spring. So what comes next for them is winter. What comes next for us is summer. The seasons are reversed versus the northern and southern hemispheres. Now, taking a look at the lower 48 United States, we got fire danger, we got tornado watch, we got blizzard warnings, winter storm warnings, high wind warnings, advisories, you name it, we got it here across the lower 48. Just a textbook mid-latitude cyclone swooping across the area. I haven't seen any tornado warnings as of right now. Let me check down here and see what we see. No, I'm not seeing any tornado warnings out there right now, but don't let your guard down if you are in that area, no doubt. And you can see there is 10%. There's a hatched area for some potential significant tornadoes out there as well. Now, if I take a look at the precipitable water, you'll see the dynamics of this storm. I mean, look at all the moisture out in front of this system there, and the very cold, dry air behind this as it moves down across the region. And the strong winds and the dry air are why the fire danger is going to be present across some of western Texas. I'll show you some more on that here in a moment, but you see the mid-latitude cyclone ripping down across the area. Look at that cold front just launch across Florida, and you can see this cold front launching down and pushing across the Gulf here as well, and then eventually this moves off the coastline there. So yeah, textbook mid-latitude cyclone. One more look at it. You can see the very cold air and the bands of snow on the backside, blizzard warnings, winter storm warnings, and then this moves up and across the Great Lakes into Canada there as well. And like I mentioned, there is some critical fire danger out there across portions of Texas and New Mexico. Taking a look at accumulated positive snow depth change. We're looking at the entire planet here, so kind of fun. And if we put this into motion, we are still just out of winter here across the northern hemisphere. They're just coming out of summer across the southern hemisphere here, moving into the fall season, as I mentioned. So as you can imagine, you're going to expect most of the snowfall to be occurring across the northern hemisphere. A little bit across some of the very tall, I think these are the Andes here, across South America as well. But for the most part, you can see there's snow across some of North America there, some of Japan, Russia, places in China, Europe, and portions of Asia as well. So kind of interesting to watch it. If I scroll all the way out through the 15-day period there, you can see where that snow is going to be building up. Now, taking a look at total precipitation in inches, this is kind of fun as well. You scroll out all the way through the 240-hour period, and we'll stop there. And you can kind of see how it falls across the tropics. There's a reason why there's the Amazon rainforest there across the South America, and you can see some of these very heavy precipitation amounts across Africa and portions of the Indian Ocean, the maritime continent as well. Of course, it's Tropical Cyclone Alfred, but you can also see some of this precipitation along the west coast of North America and across the Pacific Ocean as well. So let's scroll out all the way towards 15 days, and you can kind of see how that builds as we go. And something interesting you can look at the entire planet. This is a simulated infrared satellite imagery, so you can see what these storms are forecast to do. According to this European model that is hot off the presses, you can see the thunderstorms moving around South America, for example, there as well. Now, if we take a look at 2-meter temperature, so on the bottom right of these screens, the max temperature on the planet shows up there as 42 C. That's about, what, 107 Fahrenheit or so, minus 53.6, no doubt, across some portions of Antarctica. Very chilly up here across portions of Russia, Greenland, and some portions of Canada as well. But put that into motion, and you can see the diurnal and the nocturnal cycle. For example, look at Australia and look at South America. You can see the warm up and the cool down. And of course, that's because the oceans hold much more heat. So the land is much more susceptible to these diurnal and nocturnal variations. And of course, it's still just coming out of winter for some of the northern hemisphere. So you can still see the lower 48, the United States, for example, is still quite chilly at this time of year, relatively speaking. Now, focusing on Japan here. So here is Japan right there. So in the wake of this system here, you can see it right there. And then it starts to pull some cold air. It's going to be flowing off the continent and picking up moisture as it moves out over the ocean. Ocean effect snowfall slamming back into some of the higher terrain of Japan there. And if I scroll back, you'll kind of see that. If I go through this one and right there, you can see it pushing up against the terrain. So this cold air comes out, picks up that moisture, hits the terrain and drops its moisture there and brings some pretty intense snowfall amounts at times for some of the mountainous areas in Japan. Closer look at that here. This is the temperature right off the surface. Again, here is Japan, and then you can imagine that cold air flowing out and slamming back into the island, but not before picking up a bunch of moisture and depositing it as snow across the higher terrain. So they can get a pretty dynamic ocean effect snow machine for the state, not the state, but the country of Japan. And if I look at total snow to ratio in inches, you can see that snowfall build up. This is not one of the more extreme events here, but is just an example of that ocean effect snowfall as that cold air spills off of Asia. Now, looking at the Indian Ocean, here's Madagascar, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. I think it's pronounced Reunion, the island out here. This is the world record 24-hour rainfall total holder. We've got a tropical system moving south away from Madagascar. But watch what's going on across the intertropical convergence zone here. We're going to have another cyclone development right here. You can kind of see that low pressure getting organized here, and then it blasts into Madagascar. Some really extremely heavy amounts of precipitation here. So it's just kind of hanging over. You see the circulation, then it moves back out and it just hammers the island there, Reunion. And then a pretty potent, tropical cyclone there moving away at that point. So kind of interesting to watch that. And just some absolutely ridiculous amounts of precipitation here. And again, the world record holder right here, 24-hour, 72-inch total there. And you can see that here in the World Weather Climate Extremes Archive, almost 72 inches. I'm 6'2". I'm 74 inches tall. So that's the amount that fell in 24 hours. Just completely ridiculous. And taking a look at what is known as the Madden-Julian oscillation, enhanced convection that moves around the planet from west to east, and it's right now it's kind of near Africa, and it's kind of going to be emerging out towards the Indian Ocean. That's probably what's helping enhance some of those tropical systems there out across portions of the western Indian Ocean. So yeah, Madden-Julian oscillation. Now, taking a look at the latest on ENSO or La Nina versus El Nino, if we take a look back, this right here, this is the triple dip La Nina. So when you're in positive, you're in La Nina conditions here based on the Southern Oscillation Index. Then you can see we went through last year the El Nino here. Some of the parameters showed it as being strong, but it wasn't that strong of an El Nino. And now we're kind of back into this weak La Nina there. We're back into positive territory. So when you have that positive territory, you have lower pressure here, higher pressure here. This is Tahiti versus Darwin. That's what the Southern Oscillation Index is based on. So you get that deeper convection out there, and this sets up for what is known as La Nina conditions. And what I'm showing you here is known as the Walker circulation. So this takes a look at the equatorial Pacific, and you see, I mean, it's such a sketchy looking La Nina. It's not really that cold out there, and it's more of a Modoki La Nina, because we're warming up off the coast of South America here as well. So it's starting to really try to put an end to La Nina coming up here pretty rapidly. And you can see the official forecast here put out as of, I think this is way back in February 13th, but still applies as we go on into next year. You can see there is some chances really of all three, La Nina, neutral, or El Nino. And you see El Nino start to really creep up its odds as we go through the later portions. So still right now, we are not sure where we're going, but right now the odds are that we're going to be a neutral by the time we get towards October. But look at the European there. You can see it has this in La Nina right now, which is probably correct, but you see the median is starting to move out in towards moderate or even weak El Nino conditions there. So this was put out February last month as well. There's a new one that should be coming out here either tomorrow or the next day, and we'll take a look at that in upcoming. And we'll just finish with this. I do like to watch precipitable water. You can see these convective outflow boundaries, gravity waves moving across the tropical regions. There's the Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, the Indian Ocean, maritime continent. But you can see that also the atmospheric rivers spinning up and pushing up towards the northern latitudes here, and they can impact land. They can bring some extreme flooding as well. So just kind of a fun thing. And you also see Tropical Cyclone Alfred right there. And if we look over here, you can see this next one that's going to be developing right there. It's going to hit Madagascar, moving over the island of Madagascar right there. So yeah, interesting stuff. What else? I guess that's it. I'll get this video out here. Hope you guys are enjoying the new channel here. Be much appreciated if you would subscribe and click like, and I will keep trying to get the word out there. We'll see how this channel does. We'll see how this goes and see how much success I have in putting these out daily. So anyway, click like and subscribe. We'll do this all again tomorrow, hopefully, and I will talk to you guys then.